Hey everyone, Siam here. So in this video I want to talk about maintaining perspective when it comes to Bitcoin, why I believe it will be $40,000 to $50,000 by January 2020 and around $9 million by January 2025. So first of all, let's start with the perspective thing. So many people are still pulling their hair out regarding what's happening with Bitcoin at the moment, but you really shouldn't fret. Bitcoin pretty much has a massive sell-off at least once a year, normally twice a year. And even if you go back down to sort of late 2015, you'll see, and before, it's always doing these massive sell-offs, run-ups, and then a sell-off, normally between sort of 50 to 70%. We then have another rally once it breaks above previous highs. And then we have a big old sell-off. I mean, look at this. It went from effectively 440 up to 780, so it doubled. And then it basically halved. This was, yeah, I remember there was a whole bunch of fear around mid-2016. But then guess what happens? It punches through, makes massive all-time highs before having another 50 to 70% sell-off. It breaks them and does it all over again, and every time it breaks a previous high, we have big old sell-offs. So if I have to actually change the zoom here just to fit it all in. Again, it's nothing new. We have pretty much every single one looks identical. We have these big old V reversals towards the end before it shoots off. And now we're left with a slightly bigger pattern of what's happened before. So I wouldn't worry too much. Those that say Bitcoin's going to zero are, in my opinion, uninformed idiots. Or uninformed people, and they're an idiot because they're making an opinion based on zero facts research or evidence, really. So that's that. And here's something to be aware of when you see. This is unusual when it comes to trading, because normally in trading, when we have, let's say, a sell-off like this, as you approach previous all-time highs, we tend to have a bit of a pullback at that level, because loads of people, basically the retail market always do the wrong thing at the wrong time. So loads of people would have got in around this level here, and so what happens by the time the market gets back or down here, they're like, oh my god, the moment we get back to break even, I'm out. And so normally it gets back to sort of break even, people sell, sparks a bit of a pullback, but not with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it just sees the all-time highs as a target and then freaking nails it, and as you can see, it always shoots above it. So here's a previous all-time high, boom, it just shoots above it. Again, if you look at previous times that's happened. So that's that. Yeah, maintain the bigger picture. We're very close to, well, we're either at the lows right now or at the bottom. I think what's actually happening here is an inverted head and shoulders. I know I don't like doing technical analysis on Bitcoin. Sometimes it works. I mean, for every time it does work, I can find an equal amount of times it doesn't. However, I quite like looking at the patterns that play out over time, as in over a couple of weeks as opposed to a couple of days. And what's happening right here is that we have a shoulder, a head, a shoulder. I think we're probably going to level out around sort of 6250, creating a neckline here, and then we should see a bit of a spurt up. To be honest, I thought this move, like once we took out this low here, I thought the move up would be a little bit faster than what's happened. But hey ho. So let's talk about why I think Bitcoin is going to go absolutely nuts. Now, I just want to put some context here. People always mistake me when it comes to Bitcoin. They think I hate Bitcoin. I don't hate Bitcoin. My two sayings are, if your goal is for maximum portfolio growth, do not hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin's already done about 3.3 million% growth. And it's basically the crypto with a gammy leg holding the pack up in terms of potential percentage growth. However, the caveat to that is, if you are in this for crypto wealth preservation, then hold Bitcoin. It's the safest crypto of all cryptos. It's the only one that's been relatively battle tested. It's had over $250 billion worth. It's never been hacked. Yada, yada, yada. So I personally don't hold Bitcoin in my portfolio. I've given a Bitcoin to each one of my sons, and that's their pension, pretty much. Basically, here's why I think we're in for one hell of a bull run when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptos in general. And the thing is, you have to look at the hash rate, and this is basically the hash rate is basically the miners, and when you're mining Bitcoin, all these computers, all these Bitcoin mining computers around the world, they're basically having a guess to see who can guess the correct number that the Bitcoin network is thinking of every 10 minutes. And the hash rate is basically the amount of guesses. And even since we had this massive 70% sell-off, the hash rate is doubled over the last 6 months. So that's something to be aware of. So I've got a couple of, ignore that one. And also you have to look at the mining costs, because basically Bitcoin averages around 2.5 times, it trades around 2.5 times global mining costs. Now obviously there's a massive variance here, or range, because it goes from Venezuela $531 all the way up to, say, I don't know, the Cook Islands 15,000. I think there's another higher one, yeah, Solomon Islands 16,000, etc. But the thing is, over half of the Bitcoin's mining power is in China, so you just have to take the Chinese one, is what I do. And right now, what is Bitcoin? It's 6.3, yeah. And at the moment, what we're seeing is, I mean, if you took the global average, it's around $4,000 or $5,000, and we're trading much below the average, as in below the average of 2.5. So yeah, that's that. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with blockchain.info, actually it's blockchain.info, blockchain.com. It's the same site. Yeah, I normally use blockchain.info. Basically, if you then go to data, then charts, just go to blockchain.com then. It will give you a whole bunch of different things, from mining information, etc. You can just scroll down, you'll see loads of stuff, and I've been having a little play with some spreadsheets, because you can download the data from these things. So if I want mining information and download, I don't know, the difficulty, I can simply have a look at it and then download the CSV. So here's the difficulty. It's measured in, I think, petahashes, etc. Don't worry, but the couple of things I want you to take away from this is that when you're dealing with anything of an exponential growth, i.e. Bitcoin, as in the difficulty of Bitcoin is going up exponentially, the price of it is going up exponentially. I mean, just sorry, let's find a better chart. Let's just get the price. Basically everything is going up way exponentially when it comes to Bitcoin, as you can see. And so looking at a linear chart like this, it's not very good to look at a linear chart. It's not very good to look at exponential assets on a linear chart, because the human brain just doesn't understand exponential growth, but we do understand linear stuff. So what you'll see is that when you have something of an exponential growth curve on a logarithmic chart, you tend to see a diagonal line going across the whole thing, across the page. So this is the Bitcoin's network difficulty, but a logarithmic chart. And as you can see, the perfect exponential growth of a logarithmic chart is basically from bottom left to top right, as in a diagonal line. And Bitcoin's network difficulty is following that pretty much beautifully. We're here, so I'll just put this random line in. That's where we are right now. We're just under 10 trillion petahashes, I believe. Again, this personally goes over my head. I'm not a techie. And then basically, if you were to draw a line to extrapolate, the constant growth, i.e. an exponential growth, this is we should be hitting something, basically stupid. What this means is that because the network difficulty is increasing exponentially, it means the price of Bitcoin will also have to exponentially increase to warrant miners to mine Bitcoin. So it's the same for the hash rate. Pretty much everything in Bitcoin is an exponential growth, and by beginning of 2025, we should have 1 trillion terahashes in terms of the hash rate, which is absolutely nuts. And that's being quite conservative. That is actually just extrapolating that decay. But if you were to actually take the average of this line, the average, I guess, would be something like. I guess it would be something like this. So yeah, I'm being quite conservative. And the thing is, let's say it's 2013. Let's say right now it's 2013. You did this little exercise. You got the data of Bitcoin up until 2013, and you were to extrapolate what may happen, because you're looking at this and thinking, oh, okay, let's try and see what the price of Bitcoin will be in 2015, 16, 17, 18, etc. And you could basically draw this line, and it pretty much does stick to things. So like here, at that point there was sort of coming towards the end of 2017, and the price is around $16,000 ish, so that's pretty accurate. And what it's saying here is that yeah, basically by late 2018 it should be a lot higher. Obviously we have these peaks and troughs with amongst the exponential growth, so it's not entirely accurate, but it has stuck to it pretty accurately. So what I then did is basically, yeah, here's the exponential chart of the price. I put it in a log scale, and then I just basically started extrapolating, and I've been pretty conservative here with this average line here, but basically what I'm saying is that Bitcoin is either going to go to zero because like the computational power, the cost of mining a Bitcoin gets so silly that basically mining costs go above the price, and then people stop mining Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin dies. I don't think that's likely. I think there's probably like a 1% chance that happens. What's more likely to happen is that it keeps on going up this thing. Eventually we'll be mining Bitcoin in space, yeah, with big old solar panels in space, not on Earth. But yeah, and so what this means is that these lines here are actually the first of, so here, the 1st of January 2019, it's saying, using this data, that we should be around sort of $20,000. Beginning of 2020, 40 to 50, etc., etc., etc. And basically, in about 7 years' time, one Bitcoin should be around $8.5 to $10 million if you were to look at this extrapolation. So hopefully that makes sense. It's worth having a little play. Yeah, I'm going to be putting this spreadsheet in my various crypto communities. So yeah, hope that makes sense, and I'll see you soon. Toodles. Bye bye.